Hi everyone, it's Simon Keeling here at weatherweb.net, and it is Saturday, the 16th of April. Thanks again for watching. As it's a Saturday, this is your Saturday look ahead roundup, and it's open to non-members of weatherweb.net. But if you are a premium member, then you'll know that you get full access to all of our lovely videos. That includes the 2-week planner, the month ahead, the seasonal forecast, the fast forecast, and the daily look ahead as well. Plus, you get full access to all of our musings and to our Weather School 1-minute guides. Now, if you'd like to try WeatherWeb Premium, then do click on Premium Member, and that will give you the chance to register. Just register as a Premium member, and you'll get 3 days free of WeatherWeb Premium. It's a completely no obligation free 3-day trial, so give it a go and see how you get on. It's free for 3 days if you sign up via PayPal. If you sign up via direct debit, then you pay for a 6-month subscription, but you get a reduction on the amount that you pay. Okay, before we get into the details, news story to bring to your attention: the Japanese earthquake that took place a couple of days ago. This story being picked up from whatsupwiththat.com, and what's now happening is that the Japanese Met Agency keeping a very careful eye on the volcano on the island of Kyushu. The reason for that is that volcano is liable, or can go off in what's called a VEI7 volcanic event. Now, VEI7 probably means absolutely nothing to you, but the last time there was a VEI7 eruption was back in 1816. That was the year without summer. So always we're on the lookout for these types of eruption because of the amount of material they spew into the atmosphere. Now, there's by no means any suggestion that this is likely to happen. It's just that with that earthquake taking place within that region, then the Japanese Met Agency have increased their monitoring. We haven't had one of these events, obviously, during the era of computer modelling. So when one does come about, it'll be very interesting to monitor. And that event back in 1816 really did cause some serious consequences. It was blamed for the collapse of harvests. It was blamed for lots of deaths across the world. And of course, the question is, what would happen to our society if it happened now? It's the Earth reminding us who's boss, isn't it? The sun's disk looks like this at the moment. You'd think that it just looks like a great big orange, wouldn't you? But then look at its limb here. Huge, huge sunspot, which is showing up in that limb of the sun. Of course, we've been looking at this, haven't we, over the last couple of weeks. Despite its size, which is sufficient to consume many times the diameter of the Earth. Any feature that's actually on the sun's surface at the moment, or at least the only feature of note. Now, the sunspot numbers look like this. Remember that we're in cycle 24. We saw this decrease in cycle 23 in 2009-2010. We've then seen it pick up, but we've seen things quietening off quite significantly over the last few months. Yeah, we get the ups and downs, but generally we're on the downward trend now, probably getting into a minimum sometime in 2017. Low sunspot numbers tend to lead to an increase in blocking events of the atmosphere. That means that the west-east flow is blocked off. Sea surface analysis looking like this. This is the sea surface temperature, and again we've still got this cool water off towards the west of the UK, cool water in the northern Pacific. But I think two main factors at play here. One is El Nino, which is now weakening, predicted to go into quite a significant La Nina as we head into summer, but this, I think, is a big player. The warmth in the Indian Ocean, it's forecast to reduce as we go through this year, but I think that is having a major impact on the weather through spring, and will do into summer across the UK and Europe. Interesting to note, look, the Eastern Med now warming up, getting above average, and actually we've seen some warming in the Western Med as well, so it may well be over the next week or so we see those temperatures coming up to near or above average. Remember the heat in the Mediterranean last year and the amount of energy that supplied into the atmosphere. Incidentally, this cold water out towards the west of the UK tends to lean towards higher pressure anticyclonic conditions when we see cooler water out there in the Atlantic. You can check out our fast forecast and the 2-week planners for the detail for the next couple of weeks. Constantly updated forecasts there for you, video forecasts if you need to get access to those, and you can do that by being a WeatherWeb Premium member. Now, global heat content looking like this. This is the top 700 metres of the oceans going back to the 1950s, and you see how we've seen this increase in heat, and it's increased significantly in the last couple of years. Globally, the northern hemispheric temperature trend is still upwards, as is the southern hemispheric temperature trend, although not to the same extent as it is in the northern hemisphere. About sea ice. Well, this is northern hemispheric sea ice going back to 1979, measured by satellite, and you can see generally how there has been a decrease in sea ice levels. We're now down at minus 1.575 million square kilometres below average. Reduction in sea ice continuing. Arctic sea ice extent this year looking like this now, still well below the average and into record-breaking levels. Although it's a pretty close run thing, we're just in here at the moment at the lower end of the scale, going back to 2002. This is the forecast of sea ice extent from the CFS. You see here, it's predicting as the heat gets out of the atmosphere that we see anomalies returning back to nearer normal levels through autumn of this year. Before then, we see them decreasing away again as we head into winter. Arctic temperatures so far this year looking like this. It's the red line that we want to follow. You notice how they've been remarkably steady. Just now getting into the bell curve here over the next few days, when we should see temperatures starting to rise. Now, down in the Antarctic, sea ice extent is actually now above average. That's the 1981 to 2000 average. And the southern hemispheric sea ice anomaly looking like this. We saw the increase through the period just after 2010, although it's now decreased significantly, which again is what you'd expect to see given the warmth that was in the oceans during last year. Comparing it to previous years, 2016 is just in here, smack in the middle. Now, what about the next few days and over the next few weeks? Well, this is the prediction of the North Atlantic Oscillation from weatherandvines.com, and you notice it's trying to, on the CFS, bring us into this easterly pattern here, heading up to the end of the month. This is our anticyclone building in towards the west of the UK. Then it goes a weekly positive, bringing us into a more unsettled start potentially to May, before things then go into a week negative headed into the latter part of May in the summer, although the NAO is far less reliable as you head into the summer months. Arctic oscillation tending to stay in negative territory, indicating that the cooler air that's on the pole can slip southwards still. And the CFS does want to try and get the ridge built in. This is the forecast from tropicaltidbits.com. It's the CFS 5-day forecast taken us up to the 19th. Here's our trough down southwest and up northeast. And these are the more unsettled conditions through this weekend. But it's this feature out towards the west the CFS then wants to build in. This is the picture from the 19th to the 24th. There it is centred up towards the northwest. Note though the low here down towards the southwest, so we're getting this sort of flow taking place. That's a signal for quite a strong north or northeasterly flow across the UK, keeping the cool conditions, but perhaps dry conditions during that period. I think perhaps the CFS, one of the more sensible models here, because some of the operationals are really going for the high, just hanging around and just can't see it going. But the CFS days 11 to 15 do still have it out towards the west, but what they're trying to do is to get this trough eastwards through Scandinavia. Effectively what that would do is it brings the flow into a northeasterly like so, but with this trough down here west of the Iberian Peninsula as well, we get this flow taking place. That effectively brings the threat of some rain to southern and eastern areas, and this is what we've been saying in the preliminary May look ahead video. So there is the potential for this breakdown coming through. It might be later in the month before it does, with the potential then taking us up into the early part of May of those low thermal heights towards the east becoming one of the main features, with the ridge still out west, but this ridge trying its best to try and maintain conditions, but the northeasterly, cooler northeasterly flow, the more unsettled northeasterly flow, may well prevail. That's the story that WeatherWeb Premium members are being kept bang up to date with just at the moment. You can become a premium member too if you're not one already. Click on premium member, and as I say, you can get your free 3-day trial, which gives you full access to everything here at weatherweb.net. And I'll leave you with that for now, but whatever you're doing, thanks again for watching. Keep the sun shining. Please do spread the word amongst your friends about what we're doing here at WeatherWeb. But have a great day, and bye for now.